The South Korean electorate is divided into three parts, like Julius Caesar's Gaul. There is a strong conservative group, which is at about 1/3 of the electorate, a strong progressive or liberal group, which is about 1/3, and then you have swing voters in the middle. Madam Park started with her conservative base, but she obviously won more than half of the swing votes. I think what that reflects is, first of all, a desire for most voters for continuity. I think in terms of economic policy, she will continue more or less the policies of the current president, Lee Myung-bak. She will take a slightly different approach on North Korea. But I think for the most part, the majority favored continuity over change. Mr. Moon was arguing more on the need for change, the need for greater social justice, the need to bring about more social and economic equality, and for a more forward-leaning approach towards North Korea. The public just wasn't ready to go there. As part of the narrative of this campaign and as part of what was going on in the minds of at least some voters was the past. For conservative voters, there was a nostalgic memory of the contributions that Madam Park's father, Park Chue-hee, made to the development of Korea. He really turned South Korea from a fairly poor country that was not as large economically as North Korea to today a global powerhouse. He used some rough methods to achieve that and enforced heavy discipline. And Mr. Moon was one of the victims of that discipline and those tough tactics. And that is the dominant memory for the progressive group and some of the swing voters. But in the end, that wasn't strong enough to win. The fact remains that South Korea remains a deeply divided society. I think there is a need to push more towards a innovation-based and knowledge-based society. Korea already has a lot of capabilities in that regard, but they need to keep moving in that direction for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's one way of dealing with the demographic shift that South Korea is undergoing. You have fewer people, give them higher quality jobs. It will also raise the standard of living of a lot of people in South Korea who feel they've been left out from the economic growth and who don't have permanent employment or have low wages. As Bill Clinton said, it's good jobs for good wages. Madam Park is willing to move more on the engagement side, but carefully. She says South Korea will respond very toughly if North Korea engages in provocative actions. But she's willing to test North Korean intentions. The current policy of the United States is to sharpen North Korea's choices, to make it absolutely clear that North Korea will not get what it wants in terms of relations with the United States, Japan, South Korea, etc., as long as it sticks to its current policy set, both with respect to weapons of mass destruction and its economic policy. So we're on the side of firmness before engagement. What Madam Park seems to be proposing suggests a course of action that won't sharpen North Korea's choices, but perhaps muddle them a little bit, lead them to think that they can have their cake and eat it too. The big question, though, is how will North Korea respond? Will it do some of the things that Madam Park would like it to do in terms of weapons of mass destruction and so on? Or will it continue to engage in provocative behavior. I think she's laid out a careful approach. I think it's one the Obama administration can accommodate to. We are very good at accommodating to power transitions in friendly democratic countries. I think we can do it here. China will be perhaps a little disappointed because Mr. Moon's approach to North Korea is more in line with their fairly tolerant approach. But I'm sure that they can accommodate to Madam Park. They're used to adjusting just as we are. Japan's another question. The mood between Japan and South Korea is pretty sour right now, mainly because of ill feeling on the South Korean part. There are efforts by diplomats to calm and stabilize things. One of the advantages, though, of democratic elections is that it brings forth new leaders. It allows countries to turn a page and put the past in perspective. And we have, within 3 days of each other, a new Japanese prime minister being elected, a new South Korean president. Perhaps they can turn that page.